Okay, I have someone on my screen right here, Matthew Lyson. What's the official name of your organization again? The
The Mi-
Rescue.
Michigan Duck Rescue and Sanctuary.
Okay, I've had you on several times before. We have good news today.
With great news. A week after we had the DNR drop the euthanasia part of the case, that we got a letter yesterday from my attorney that the prosecuting attorney dropped all the charges against me and Theresa. 100% gone.
Wow, did they say why or that? I mean, it doesn't matter. They dropped them.
Yeah,
But
we could only surmise, but it's a done deal, and we get to start new. But it's not really over because we never know what they're going to do. If it was just something that the pressure got to them all of a sudden, and maybe they want to show nice for a bit, and maybe run out the clock on some of these legislators that are going full force on them, which they've done many times in the past. But we're trying to keep a little pressure going. We're trying to get this resolved. We're trying to get things in law that will keep them from doing anything outrageous again. I mean, you hear things from out of state, people out of state, rehabbers and stuff, and they always say, "What's going on in Michigan? Why is the Michigan DNR so obsessed with killing everything they can get their hands on?" They are not a rehab organization by any means. They're basically an organization or an agency that just goes after things.
yeah, why? So for the people who don't know, they basically were going after you for something small. And what, if you could describe it in a sentence or two?
We were pretty much allowing people to bring geese, Canada geese, to our property. This is the main thing, that were left behind with something called angel wing, which is a congenital defect caused often by people feeding adults. It gets inherited through the egg, or they feed the babies themselves. The wings protrude out like an airplane.
Okay.
They have one or two that are bad like that. Once they have that, they can no longer fly. So they're left out on the ice to freeze and starve in the winter. DNR says, let nature take its course. Car hits one, the wing is damaged. No licensed rehabber will take it. By the end of the year, he's overcome the injury. It just said he can't fly. The wing is broken. It's calcified. He can do just about anything but fly. DNR says, let nature take its course, even though man got involved. Goose gets tangled up in fishing line. The wings get damaged. DNR says, let nature take its course, even though nature didn't have anything to do with it. And as well as hooks and you name it. So we've allowed people to bring those animals to us, put them on our property, which is open on the south side. They can come and go as they please. DNR didn't like that. They didn't like the fact that we were helping take hooks and wire off of the animals as well. They wanted them to lay out there and suffer. That's all we did. We did nothing illicit, nothing intentionally criminal. And then we find out, wow, you're not supposed to do that. So we stopped doing it. Then they came after us, and my wife and I, Theresa, with 6 charges each of possessing and helping waterfowl, pretty much unlicensed. We tried to. I'm sorry.
Did they just kind of make that rule up out of nowhere, or did they kind of
it's really, some things are not definitive. One of the rules, which they're probably going to change it if they hear this, is they have a law in Michigan. You have 48 hours to get a protected bird to a licensed rehabber. Okay. Well, end of story. That's their law. Get it at 48 hours. So what happens if you can't find a licensed rehabber, which is almost impossible in Michigan to find one that's willing to help for whatever reason, bird flu, lack of space available. So you basically have a bird that you have to get it to somewhere 48 hours with no follow-up, nothing. There's no law as to put it back in the wild where you got it, put the string back around it, put it back in the road where you found it. But if you have it, not finding a place for it, you're in violation of their 48-hour law.
Are you a licensed rehabber then?
I'm a certified rehabber. I have all the certification necessary to be a licensed rehabber, but they've kind of not been generous in their licensing.
Yeah, I heard about that they had a hearing the other day in Lansing that there's one person, Representative, I think Regas had said that or there's several accusing this one woman of like holding licenses over people's heads, treating them like it's gold. Like here,
I would know who that was. I mean, and I'll say the name. It's Casey, Casey over there, and you know she's. Here's another thing. So many rehabbers that I talk to. There's many, and Casey Reese. There are so many rehabbers that do not want to rock the boat. And they tell me stories. They say, "Oh my God, I put my license in," and then they're getting back to me saying, "Well, when are you going to put your license in? You know, I've already applied. Why don't you give me the license?" It takes months and months when it's only supposed to take 30 to 60 days. But like you're right, they dangle this over their head, and these people, these great rehabbers, don't want to rock the boat because they could end up getting their license pulled. And they've told me they would love to testify, but they don't want them coming after them. I would never say who they are because then we could lose those few people that we have, and I would never jeopardize that.
So you've spent a lot of legal fees over these years, right?
We've spent a lot of time and some cost, you know, for some of this stuff. It's not been, you know, I would say it's probably the inconvenience more than anything, and the cloud as to what's going to happen, what's following us. You know, we got a DNR guy down the street. This guy has an obsession with us, you know, and he even says so much, "Oh, I drive by your house every day."
Oh,
you know, and we have 2 properties. We're moving to a new one soon, and they've targeted both of them. They've been on the other property illegally, basically without warrant. So that's another issue that we're dealing with currently. But it's just their approach is they feel that they can come on anybody's property because of the open field doctrine, which we are hoping in Congress and in Michigan to try to change that. We've got great representation. Like you said, Angela Regas, the rep, and Rep Ken Borton. These people are fantastic. I don't know if you saw the video by Representative McBroom about it. Oh my God, that we fell out of our chair watching that. That guy was fantastic.
How does it feel that the lawmakers, the residents, I haven't heard anyone publicly really speaking out. It seems like most people are supporting you. How does it feel? Because sometimes it's hard to fight City Hall, to fight the government, and you've done it and you've won, and everyone's gotten behind you for the most part. How does that feel?
We've been blessed. I mean, when we first got the charges, you know, you feel like your back's against the wall. Here, the government of Michigan and their so-called henchmen of the DNR are coming after you. The prosecutor took the case, which I really believe he wasn't interested in the case in the beginning. For the impressions that we got, reading body language and listening to key words, he thought it was kind of an unusual situation. The DNR apparently kept pressuring, but the DNR does not have the final say. Just like over in Macomb, where Kelly from DAWG had to prosecute, you know, they can say, no, I'm not going to deal with this. It's just not worth it logically and politically. But for some reason, they have this in with the DNR. And the funny thing is, the DNR is actually a client of the Attorney General's office. So the Attorney General should have been involved on this, but then it ended up becoming a situation with the elected prosecutor in Washington County first was involved, and then he handed off to an assistant prosecutor. So there's a whole lot more to that story that is being exposed, so to speak.
Wow. So the AG,
it's a mess.
Nessel could have put a stop to it right away.
Oh, her or Whitmer, you know, any of them could have done that. The DNR could have done that. The DNR, I mean, my God, it's a compassionate thing. What is this obsession with killing birds that are free to roam a property where they're basically protected? They have a great water source and all that. They're not harming anyone. No one is suffering from that. They can't fly away, so there's no issues with the bird flu or anything like that, which is always their go-to. Well, we don't want the spread of disease. Well, how can you spread a disease if you're on private property and the birds can't go anywhere?
Yeah.
So where's the issue with that?
Last question. So this is a victory, but like you said, in order to feel really good about it, you are hoping that there needs to be changes and things written in the law to make sure that this doesn't happen, right?
Absolutely. And I just spoke with Rep Borton just a couple of days ago, and we'll be talking probably in the next week or two. There's a committee coming up, and we're hoping to be a part of that. We've got a lot of information that we're going to share, which is really going to put a whole different light on the DNR's tactics.
Is this why, I know that everyone votes for president, many people, but is this why voting in with your state government, your House and Senate in Michigan, that's why it's so important? People forget about state government. It's so important.
Absolutely. The sad thing is neither Republican or Democrat governorship really made changes to the DNR. Right now, it's the congressmen that are doing the dirty work, so to speak. They're the ones that have had enough. So it's very, very important to know who's in your district, who's fighting for the cause you want to believe in, not just some hokey pokey garbage. You want to really take serious what's going on and who's going to go in your favor. And
gotcha. So don't just pick someone because they have an R or a D.
Absolutely. Okay. These have been bipartisan efforts, from my understanding. And that's what it takes. I mean, if that's what it takes, that's fine. Animals don't know if you're a Dem or Republican. They could care less. They need help. They need protection. So, you got to know who's out, and you got to pressure them. You got to go say, hey, I'm part of your constituency. I have friends. We're going to vote against you. You have to communicate. And, one thing I found through this whole ordeal is it's not that difficult to contact the representatives. And most of them will get back to you, either their staff or them. And it's wonderful to be a part of that. Everybody thinks, well, I can't get involved. They're way up there. I'm down here. Nobody's going to listen to me. They will listen to you if you push your cause.
Yeah, and get a hold of me, and I'll put it out there, and we'll.
Dave, it was, as I mentioned in my post this morning, it was you that was the catalyst that really got people interested. You got Nugent responding. He reposted it. You got Rep. Ken Borden. He spotted it. That's when I saw it, and I reached out to him. It was we had a lot of TV exposure and stuff, which was, well and good, but it was your insistence and persistence and aggressiveness that really, really got wheels going and got the contacts into play. So we can't thank you enough.
I appreciate that. And I haven't met you in person, and I'm going to do that in the near future. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. And we'll be in touch, definitely.
Thank you, sir.